let you know, unfortunately, our musical guest today, Synia, Carroll, is sick. So all those of you, here comes Don, all those of you who came to see her.
Sorry.
Time just catches up to you sometimes. All right, so we are ready for 1008. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Especially members to come up front or move to the center of the aisle so latecomers and visitors can sit in the back if they choose. Anyway, I am Reverend J. Wolin, settled minister here at the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota. Welcome to all of you, as well as those who are watching online, either right now or sometime in the future or 1,000 years from now. Who knows? Especially want to welcome our visitors, both on campus and over live stream. We invite our visitors to participate in any of the events at the UU of Sarasota. And we encourage you to find out more about who we are by registering in our virtual guest book at uusrq.org. And if you're here in person, you can sign up right outside the sanctuary at the welcome desk. And if you do, we will send you our weekly newsletter and Zoom links to our virtual events. As well, every week we invite you to coffee and snacks after the service, and we look forward to getting to know each other, or getting to know each other again if you're just returning. One special announcement today, two. The first, the Arts Council is pleased to present the paintings of Gary Laparle, titled Unveiled Strength, Portraits of Intimacy and Vulnerability. Gary describes this exhibit as a series of paintings that illuminate the nuances and support among men and their capacity for vulnerability in a society that often expects them to be stoic. Our pedestal artist is our very own Gail Kapak, who, well known for her beautiful one-of-a-kind jewelry material headed for the throwaway pile, is preserved in a different context, jewelry, such as her title of her show, Reimagine. Please welcome the artists in the Lexow Gallery after the service. And again, as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, Synia Carroll will not be able to, she was scheduled to sing today, but instead we will have a couple of extra pieces by Don Bryn, and we'll do an extra hymn because we will adapt, because that is part of what the service today is talking about. How do we adapt to a changing world and changing environments? So take it away. Our opening reading is from the Reverend Gretchen Haley. We gather to draw a wider circle. In a world that feeds on moral outrage, we are here to cultivate moral courage. In a time that prizes picking sides, we gather to draw a wider circle. And in a culture that teaches us to get for what we give and to ask, what's in it for me, we come to practice generosity and to remember we are all in this together. In the midst of life's bitterness, we choose to sing, to give thanks, to laugh together, be keepers of beauty, to offer a place of belonging for all who come here, in gladness and in pain, to resist the push to the next moment and the next, to slow down, to breathe more deeply, to feel a part of something greater for this hour and in this space. Let us be the change that we wish to see in this world. Come, let us worship together. As we light our chalice, by March I'll remember this. As we light our chalice, please join us in affirming our vision, which will be on the screen above me or printed in your order of service. We aspire to be a multi-generational and multicultural community, known for advancing justice where all persons can find belonging, spiritual growth, and support for life's journey.
Good morning. So nice to see all of you here. Thank you. So today's story is We Belong, written by Laura Purdy Salas and illustrated by Carlos Velez Aguilera. Welcome. You're here. Look, I'm here too. And there's so many exciting things that we can do. And I'm glad we are here. And I'm glad that you are you. Maybe you are quiet. You wonder. You dream. Thoughts trickle softly, clear as a stream. Maybe you're loud. Achoo! Rat-a-tat-tat. Nobody says, can you repeat that? Quiet and loud both deserve our applause. What makes music sing is the sound and the pause. Fireworks grab us with bang, boom, pop, and the soft, smoky sizzle when the big noises stop. Maybe you're tall as a big redwood tree. When your kite becomes stuck, you just pluck it free. From the very back row, you can still see the screen. On the basketball court, you're a slam dunk machine. Maybe you're short, down low to the ground, constantly turning the lost into found. In hide-and-seek games, you can barely be seen. On class party day, you're a limbo machine. Does it matter? And why? Because we're only as high as a small grain of sand next to the mountains or sky. Maybe you're happy, a fun magic trick, a sprinkler rainbow, a kitten's rough lick, and maybe you're sad, a cloud, a small cave. Maybe you're trying your best to be brave. Sometimes we like to make sadness extinct, but teardrops and smiles are joined. They are linked. Each feeling's a gift that helps us connect to the world, to our family, to the friends we collect. Does the world call you black? Does it say you are white? Whatever its color, your skin is just right. Because we all wear our skins just like trees wear their bark, in infinite shades between light and dark. Are you a river birch, hazelnut, chestnut or cherry, jack pine, mahogany, oak, or mulberry? Let's show the world what we carry within, our lifelong journey, the places we've been, the family we love, the dreams that we dream, the people that we are deep inside of our own skin. There are boys and there are girls and even more choices. Let's build a world where there's room for all voices. Play with toys that you think are fun. Put on a tutu and hit a home run. Be who you like. Choose who you are. Let your own heart be your guiding North Star. Maybe you're local, born here in this town, and you know the trees to climb up and the slides to slide down. And when you're the expert on places where you live, what a cheerful and friendly welcome you'll give. Do you come from close by, from a town that's quite near, the one with the tall buildings and the old wooden pier? Or maybe you come from some other land. Did you drive along highways or trek across sand? Did you have a front yard or a field full of sheep? Did traffic or sirens keep you from sleep? If we could stand on the moon, we'd see the earth round and small. One dazzling, spinning blue and green ball, one circular swirl that is home to us all, where we learn from each other. We expand what we know. Our hearts crack open like seeds, and they grow. You and I, we're alike, but we're different too. That's not good. It's not bad. It's just what's true. You are good. You're enough. When you're right, when you're wrong, and here in this space, this is where we belong. So no matter your age, your background, or how you think, or how you feel, you belong here. Because we need each other to find compassion and grace and an uplift when we are not our best selves or life's journey is hard. A place where we can share our highs and our lows. A place where we can work together to help heal our world. Like those brave souls you can find on the guest at our table boxes. A physical reminder of at your dinner table to share the blessings we have with those who face harm and hurt. We belong here together to be a light in a world of darkness. So I now invite any children and youth here today to join me in the West Wing as we learn more about Yule and the return of the light. And if you're new here, no worries, just come with me. Thank you.
Our centering in words today are from the Reverend Hope Johnson. Together we are one. One love, we are one. A diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best as we can. We are one, working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing, rejoicing, getting to know each other, taking risks, opening up, questioning, seeking, struggling, searching, trying to understand, making mistakes, paying attention, asking questions, listening, living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving with humility, and being forgiven through grace. As we go into a time of silence, I invite you to contemplate what you have risked or what you are willing to risk in order to grow as human beings. About 3 or 4 times a year, we like to introduce you and covenant with our new members, people who have more recently joined the UUs of Sarasota. So I would like to invite up, we have a board member and the welcome team chair. I think Mary Lou is doing it. Joan, come on up. And our new members, please come on up and be recognized. And I think there's a microphone right behind you there. If you can make it up to the step.
Stand up one more.
So everybody can see you.
Great. Wonderful.
Now is the time during the service that we honor our newest members and their decision to join the UUs of Sarasota. We encourage you to share with us your creative thoughts, your vital experiences in life, your doubts, and your dreams about what life and our lives together can be.
It is a joy to welcome each of you as members into our community. Many of you I got to meet yesterday at our luncheon, and it's always a wonderful thing. And I encourage all of you to get to know our new members. Becoming a member of the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota is an important step, but it's only a first step. I encourage you to grow your religious life. I encourage you to explore and share your unique gifts. Will you journey together with us, sharing the joys and responsibilities of membership? If you agree, please say yes.
Members of the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota, will you reach out to these people in friendship, including them in our activities? Will you walk with them on their religious journey? Will you be open to their unique gifts and perspectives? Will you extend a warm welcome to each of them, remembering that each of you was once a new member?
And now it's your turn. Our strengths, talents, and commitment with yours. You are a part of us, and we are a part of you. Ours is a shared ministry to help each other find meaning in life and to build a just and compassionate life and world, working to fulfill the mission of the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota. Let's all give our new members a round of applause. Welcome and welcome. Thank you all. And now, another part of our shared ministry is our offering that we take every week. And we will exempt our new members from that this week. So please be as generous as you can. Let this sacred time begin. Thank you. Our next reading is from a book entitled An Everyone Culture. What is happiness? The definition most in vogue, fueled by the positive psychology movement, is one of happiness as a state, characterized by pleasure, a banishing of pain, of suffering, and boredom, a sense of engagement and meaning through the experience of positive emotions and resilience. However, the research literature on happiness suggests another definition, one that is overlapping but significantly different. The second definition sees happiness as a process of human flourishing. This definition, whose roots go back to Aristotle and the Greeks' concept of eudaimonia, include an experience of meaning and engagement, but in relation to the satisfaction of experiencing one's own growth and unfolding, becoming more of the person one was meant to be, bringing more of oneself into the world. And so now, I invite you to rise in body and or spirit as we sing hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses. So I thought, since today was going to be a new member ceremony, I would talk a little bit about what it means to belong and how we are all coming from different perspectives and contexts of our lives and our lives' experiences. And so this brings up, of course, the question of multiculturalism. And I really think it is a theological question. Are there universal truths that underlie all of our differing lived realities and experiences? Of course, the concept of universality has had a significant theological foundation within the history of Unitarian Universalism. It's even in our name. Although we may not understand such universal truths, that does not mean there aren't any. So the question arises, how do we live together? How do we come together in communities, particularly religious community, that embodies different cultural realities? So as part of our commitment to becoming a multi-generational and multicultural congregation, a number of our leaders have taken the IDI, or Intercultural Development Inventory. The IDI attempts to measure the way an individual or group experiences cultural differences and similarities. I first just want to say this is hard and challenging work, even for myself. My perceived development is way ahead of my actual tested development. But perception sometimes does become reality. So at least we're heading in the right direction, or I'm heading in the right direction. So this journey to multiculturalism will take maybe decades to work on. And nothing is guaranteed unless we create it. So we, as a congregation, in voting for our vision last year, committed to starting on this journey. And so we should get started with learning a little bit about what that even means. I think there's a lot of confusion about what it means. So this is, I'll go through each of them. I know it might be hard for you to read from all the way back down there. But I particularly like this version of the picture because it shows it as an arrow. And so that it's a reminder that this multiculturalism is a journey, right? There's no set end point or beginning point, and we may ebb and flow based on the circumstances of our lives where we are. And starting on the far left is my far left, I guess. No, that would be my right, your left. It was my left when I was looking on my computer last night, I'll tell you that. Is a monocultural mindset. And so denial is the one on the left here. It says misses differences, right? So denial is the inability to see differences, or not wanting to recognize differences, while only being interested in the dominant culture. The second part of the journey, which I think which many people are in this country, is polarization. Polarization only sees us versus them, or us and them. Right? In polarization, people see differences, and in fact, they place a higher emphasis on the differences. Most people in polarization see themselves as us and better than them, whoever us and them happens to be. The us creates stereotypes of them and sees them as a threat to us, whoever us and them might be. I think this is where a lot of our country is right now. And the next stage on the journey is minimization, where I think the majority of us fall. This is where we see commonalities and differences in different cultures. And in minimization, we tend to focus on and maybe even overemphasize the commonalities of different cultures, but minimize the differences. We're comfortable with and tolerant of differences. However, we tend to see events through the dominant culture lens. So those could be simple things like time, music, dress, multiple things. We spend our time learning and not as much time listening and acting when we are in minimization. I also want to point out that each of us has multiple identities that we carry with us throughout our life. Age, gender identity, sexual orientation, race, education, economic class, religious background, family construction, just to name a few. And some of our identities might be dominant culture ones, and others might be non-dominant culture. And polarization, if you are in a non-dominant culture, polarization can be a threat to your way of life, or let alone a literal threat to your life. I think of even myself this past year, people I have known, literally because of my Jewish identity, have threatened my life because of my Jewish identity. Now, being mostly a dominant culture person and upbringing, I, of course, speak out about those things and refuse to walk away from those conversations. But not everybody has that luxury or ability to do that. And when, there is always, when you're in a non-dominant culture, a push for someone from a non-dominant culture to assimilate. Right? When you're forced to assimilate, you are not being your authentic self. Now, we all, at times in our lives, I'm imagining, I'll speak for myself here, go along to get along sometimes on things that are not critical to us. But that can be a slippery slope. The next phase of the journey is acceptance, and once you are comfortable with your own culture, I think that is important, knowing what your own culture is. We often just go through life, just walking through it, not being self-aware. But once you're comfortable with it, you can hold someone else's perspective then in context. And this is why it is so important to understand our own culture. Like there's an old story of these two young fish swimming along, and an older fish passes them by and says, "How you doing? How's the water?" And then as the two young fish are going on, one looks at the other and goes, "What's water?" Right? So meaning that those of us who are in the dominant culture, we often just take for granted the culture we live in as the default culture. We don't think of it as the dominant culture. Right? We need to learn that not everyone lives in, has the same opportunities in, has the same communication style, has the same attitudes, notions, concepts, or approaches to many of the cultural touchstones that we may have. And if we truly believe that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion as our values state, then we need to learn and listen about our own and other cultures. And the more one does this, the more one learns the other's experiences, and that they are quite different from ours. That should open up our hearts to be more compassionate to others. Adaptation, the final leg of the journey, bridges across differences, is figuring out how to live into the complexity without losing a sense of oneself. Right? How do we shift our behavior, our resources? How do we utilize our own identity strategically to be effective, to bring about change? As an example, when I was serving in Iowa, I was on a community council with a number of community members, with the police chief, to discuss racial profiling. Due to my being a white male minister, the group always asked me to do the hard ask and to press the police commissioner. And although there was risk in this for me, not as much risk as there was for others in the room. And I think particularly as a minister, the police chief gave me a little more deference than he did to others. Myself or my son did not get extra things, although my son was stopped that night after the meetings a couple of times, maybe as a message. But we have to learn to understand what our privilege and power is, and then we have to learn to use that privilege and power that we do have in conjunction, in partnership with those that we are partnered with in the community or with others we are in covenant with here within the UUs of Sarasota. even when it is sometimes uncomfortable. This is just a general overview. I just want to say, I admit it's all sometimes a bit heady, I get that. But so what does it mean on a practical basis for us? There are some ways that we are more multicultural than others. Certainly, theologically, we have a wide diversity. We've utilized our pulpit and spaces for various theological ideas and shared our space with organizations that led by different cultures that we are in partnership with in the community. In our vision, though, we explicitly broke out multi-generational from multicultural. And I would say that multi-generational is multicultural, but we did that to place an emphasis on it, that we explicitly, this is a way we wanted to be more multicultural in regard to the age of people who feel they belong in this congregation. And those, I just want to say, it's very interesting, those who have joined, and we've probably had over 100 people join in the last 2 years, see the story for all ages as just part of our culture, right? But those who have been here longer tenured members, know this was an intentional change in our culture. It wasn't always that way. We have as well intentionally changed our culture in regard to music. We utilize different musical styles, genres, and musicians from different cultures. And there are some of you who may not like to clap and dance during hymns, and then there are some, myself included, who enjoy that, right? Those are cultural differences. I encourage us all to have a both-and thought process as opposed to an either-or thought process. Listen to other people's stories. I encourage you to be curious about others and to be curious about this, to work to seeing commonalities and differences in others and respecting them. It's one reason I highly recommend Chalice groups that we have here. It trains us to listen to other people, to hear their stories and experiences. Now, we all have to choose where we're going to draw the line, right? The line that says this is too far. I think we all have that line. The value that some people have or actions that some people take that are antithetical to our values. And we have faced these questions as a community, and we will continue to face and address these questions in the upcoming years as they arrive. And we will do that as a community. The philosopher Karl Popper, in his book, The Open Societies and Its Enemies, posited the paradox of tolerance, which suggested that if a society extends tolerance to those who are intolerant, it risks enabling the eventual dominance of intolerance, thereby undermining the very principle of tolerance. I want to point out that tolerance is different than belonging, though, also. Tolerance is saying, I will allow you to be here. Right? Belonging is a person becoming a part of a group and being respected as their full, authentic self. And I find in the pursuit of multiculturalism that respect for other cultures tends to lead to the deconstruction of one's own cultural identity. I think this is important. However, I want to be clear to note that deconstruction does not mean destruction. Okay, a theologian, Gary Dorian, in quoting another theologian, Sally McFaig, points out, and I quote, "Theologians have done a great deal of deconstruction in recent years, but little reconstruction. To her, this was a serious failing. For if metaphor and concept were intimately bound together, up with each other, it was imperative to replace the outmoded and oppressive metaphors of the past, end quote. And I think we have continued to work on educational aspects of the deconstruction of our own culture, which is one that was put forth originally by white males of European descent. I find it interesting that the acronym for that is WMD, similar to the acronym for weapons of mass destruction. So we have failed to put forth, though, new metaphors and new visions. That is what we are trying to do as a congregation, as a religion, as to what a multicultural community will look like. You know, originally our society for years used the metaphor of the melting pot. However, the problem with the metaphor is that individual cultures were subsumed by the larger dominant culture. The more trendy metaphor that I learned in seminary was the salad bowl metaphor, which highlights cultural coexistence where each ingredient retains its full identity but exists side by side. So I have to admit, this metaphor didn't really work for me. One of the things I loved about going to seminary is I got to write papers such as the one I did entitled "The Poor Little Cauliflower." It's true, I wrote a paper entitled that. When I am eating a prepared salad, if there is something in it I don't like, such as cauliflower, it gets pushed to the side of the plate, right? Or even to make the metaphor worse, I feed the cauliflower to my dog, which my wife, Jan, yells at me for doing, but I think it's good for his digestion personally. But if I'm making my own salad, I don't even buy cauliflower, or I just leave it in the refrigerator. I ignore it. And for me, the multiculturalism of salad separates and does not bring people together. It may look pretty, but the cauliflower is not engaging the broccoli. They're just not. Or learning about the broccoli, or vice versa. The broccoli doesn't know why the cauliflower was left in the kitchen, not to be eaten by me. That's a bad metaphor in and of itself, food metaphors. But I also, the challenge is I can choose to partake in all the different and distinctive tastes, but I also have the option to not be inclusive. And that is not a recipe for human flourishing. So I propose a new metaphor for multiculturalism, the metaphor of compote. One, individual identity is maintained. In compote, the fruits retain some of their original form and texture. Similarly, in multicultural societies, individual and cultural groups maintain aspects of their unique identity rather than dissolving completely into a homogeneous whole. Two, there is an intermingling of flavors. It's true, I could have put cheese on the cauliflower, but this is intentional, right? There is an intentional. As the fruits cook together, their flavors blend and enhance one another, creating harmonious and an enriched dish, more so than any of the fruits separately could be. And this can symbolize how diverse cultural interactions contribute to a richer, more complex society. Number three, softening and adaptation. Right? While the fruits retain their identity, right, they soften and adapt to the cooking process. In multicultural societies, people and cultures often adapt to shared experiences and environments, becoming more integrated while retaining their distinct characteristics. And four, shared context. The syrup and spices in the compote unify the dish, all made up from all those fruits. Much like shared values, laws, or social systems provide a common framework in multicultural societies, allowing for diverse groups to coexist and to thrive. And I end with a quote from one of our members and community minister, Brock Leach, Reverend Brock Leach, from his doctoral thesis, where he writes, UU congregations exist for the sole purpose of developing our human potential with the explicit goal of creating an everyone culture. We only need to embrace spiritual vitality as our central work and patiently develop new practices that will foster positive change in ourselves and our institutions. And when we do, we will find that we are helping one another to find belonging. We will form intimate, trusting relationships across cultures and life stages that will enrich us. We will uncover a deeper sense of purpose and meaning that animates our lives. And we will help ourselves to become wholly authentic and self-transforming people, serving a world sorely in need of transformation, end quote. And we all are in need of transformation, and the world is. And so I echo that, and may it be so, and may we make it so. I invite you to rise in body and or spirit for our closing hymn, number 305, De Colores. Thank you to our song. These are our closing words from the book Belonging, Remembering Ourselves Home by Toko Paterna. So long as we keep aspects of ourselves hidden from view because we believe only an edited or presentational version of who we are will be accepted by others, we are depriving ourselves of belonging. But also, and here's a piece that takes some real practice to see we are depriving others from belonging to us. Please join me now in extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you all for your presence here. Go forth, do good, be good, have some food, make some new friends.